Okay, match 3. And let's look at this hand. This hand is perfectly fine. We might go turn 1 looting, but probably not. We'll probably wait for turn 2 and then start discarding things like Vampire and Temper and hope that the Mongrel doesn't get killed first. Alright, and as soon as I played the Forest, I instantly regretted it because I might want to Lightning Bolt turn 1 if they play a creature. But luckily they just play Bone Splitter and pass. Alright, this might be Mono Blue Delver. They typically play a 1 of Bone Splitter to help improve their 1/1 flyers. Alright, another island, and they pass the turn. So now would probably be a good time to Faithless, just to try and hit a land drop and start filling up the graveyard for this Hooting Mandrills. However, I also want to be able to cast Blood Mad Vampire, so I think I'm going to wait. I also would like to cast it on their turn because it's much better against counter magic, obviously. Alright, Spellstutter Sprite for no value. So there's a couple of choices here. I can cast my Blood Mad Vampire now while they're tapped out. I can cast my Lightning Bolt right now after it resolves. I can cast my Fiery Temper right now after it resolves. The reason why they would be playing the Spellstutter Sprite is if they have another one, so that the next one can counter for 2. Or potentially if they wanted to try to pick this one up with a Ninja of the Deep Hours. So I think right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to discard a Blood Mad Vampire. And the reason I'm doing this is if they decide that they want to try to ninjutsu in a ninja, then at least for future turns I'll have this creature back to block if I need to. I can also try to Lightning Bolt the ninja. So I'm not too scared of that. Also, just the fact that this is a 4/1 greatly incentivizes them to try to stay back and block it. Oh, and they're dazing me. Okay. So it looks like that's not going to resolve. Spellstutter is going to come down. I was not expecting a daze this early in the game. So once again, just like some lists play Vapor Snag and some play Snap, some lists play Daze and some play Force Spike. It depends. Alright, so there's that ninja, as we thought might be happening. Okay. Now I can be greedy and I can Faithless Looting first to try to find another red source. But I think that it's too important to get this Ninja of the Deep Hours off the table right now. So, goodbye Fiery Temper. And we get to attack. And we know they have a Spellstutter in hand, but we're not sure of what else. And they just play Fairy Miscreant and pass, okay. Alright, let's start with an attack. And whatever I play here is probably going to get countered. And I'd much rather them counter a Faithless Looting than a Insolent Neonate, so I'm going to lead with that. If this does in fact resolve, then I have a Hooting Mandrills I can try to cast, which cannot be countered by a Spellstutter, but can get hit by a counter spell. Or a Daze. Alright, it looks like they are going to go ahead and take the free counter. If I really wanted to be aggressive here, I could discard 2 more cards to this Wild Mongrel just to be able to play out Mandrills. I'd probably discard Looting and maybe Neonate in that case. And then unless they have some sort of bounce spell, I probably will win the damage race. I'm actually really considering doing that. That means that I lose my Faithless in the yard to flash back, but I don't actually have my 3rd mana to do that anyway. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm going to go for it. This forces our opponent to have a bounce spell. So let's try it. And hopefully they don't have another Daze, I guess. That would also be a bad thing. Alright, no Daze, please. And let's see what happens. Oh look, we're getting dazed again, wonderful. Alright, well, 2 Dazes, getting blown out. Now they equip up the Bone Splitter, attack, and leave open Counterspell. Counter our next threat and probably win the damage race that way. Alright, they're leaving back Spell Stutter to block the Wild Mongrel. So obviously I'm going to attempt to move that out of our way. And it'll probably be countered because Mono Blue Delver has a ton of counter spells, but if not, then it's going to be very good for us. Alright, looks like they're letting that resolve, oddly enough. And we'll go ahead and try to resolve this Wild Mongrel as well, since they're in the giving mood. And that resolves as well. Interesting. And they don't have anything on our instep. Their hand must be very action light. Alright. They either drew this just now or had some sort of 2-mana instant last turn that wasn't appropriate to play, which doesn't really make any sense. Bounce they would have played, Counterspell they would have played, so. I will trade off one of these. That's fine. Next turn I can discard 2 cards to the Mongrel to be able to get past a fairy holding a Bone Splitter, so. Alright, opponent is Gushing, going up to 8 cards. And Preordain. Alright, they go bottom top with the Preordain. And they pass a turn. Alright, time to attack. And even if they counter this Root Wall, I'm still going to get the benefit from pumping the Mongrel, so I am going to try for it. Worst thing that can happen here is my Mongrel gets bounced to my hand. But then I still have the mana to replay it at least, so. Well, I'll just have to see what spell they have. We've been playing from behind this game ever since they dazed the Mandrills. If that had not happened, we would have been very far ahead because we would have been winning the damage race and forced them to bounce the Mandrills before they did anything else. Unfortunately, that second daze really got us. Alright, so they are going to snap the Mongrel. That resolves. Attempt to re-resolve this Mongrel, see what happens. It gets hit by a counterspell. Alright, and they have 6 cards, or now 5 cards to our none. And their fairy can block our Basking Root Wall, as can the Spargolem, so we are in a lot of trouble. Tormenting Voice with nothing to discard, okay. I'm going to attack here just in case they want to try to not block it and give us some free damage. They might be afraid of a pump plus a bolt on their Spire Golem. They probably have a bounce or a counter spell in hand, so they don't really mind, but I'm going to try it anyway because I have nothing I want to stay back and block. Alright, and it looks like they are very intelligently going for the block. So these are just going to bounce off each other. Another preordain, help them find some action. Spire Golem, Ponder. They do not shuffle, which basically seals our fate. If they're happy with their card, then there's not much we can do. Bolt actually doesn't help us right now, so I'm going to leave open green mana for another Hooting Mandrills. And then they have the choice to counter this or not. Presumably with Spellstutter Sprite. Oh, but they just let it resolve. Alright, taking some damage. They have lethal on board next turn. Ninja's coming in as well. Picking up Spire Golem for Ninja is always great because you can cast the Spire Golem again for so cheap. Alright, well that's it for me, unfortunately. Just for fun, I'll try to get this out of the way. See if they show us a new counter we don't already know that they have. Or just let it resolve because it doesn't really matter anyway. Preordain into Spire Golem. Into Equip. Alright, yep. That's the game. Alright, so here's our Electrickeries and our Pyroblasts. Just the fact that we confirm they do have a Bone Splitter and they have Spire Golems is not enough to want to bring in Gleeful Sabotage. We have Lightning Axes for that. Alright. Same sideboarding plan as our previous Mono Blue Delver matchup. Okay, we get to play first. And this hand is fine. We got some extra lands that we can ditch. Now the question is whether we want Neonate on 1 or Mongrel on 2, which is more important. And I think I'm going to go with Neonate on 1. There's always a chance I draw untapped green, even though that is a small chance. And I'm still going to go for this. Also, Mongrel on 2 is a little bit more dangerous against stays in particular, if they feel like returning their only island. Alright, Miscreant and pass. And if they follow up with another Miscreant, I could definitely be tempted to crack this Insolent in response, casting the Root Walla. Because if we're able to draw Lightning Bolt or Lightning Axe off of it, we could kill the first Miscreant and prevent them drawing a card. But we'll wait and see what they do here. I could also do that same thing if they try to ninjutsu into Ninja. Alright, there's a Preordain. top and top. And a Delver of Secrets, okay. Don't think it's time to crack this Neonate quite yet. Got a Blood Mad Vampire, which is a good threat. However, this turn we're just going to resolve Mongrel. And I'm playing an untapped land there, non-evolving wilds in case of days. I don't want to get my Mongrel snatched by that. Counterspell. Okay. Looks like we're taking 4 here. And they're missing a land drop, which is weird given that they topped the preordain on their previous turn. So I'm not exactly sure what they were so excited about seeing. Oh, I guess they were flipping the Delver of Secrets. That makes sense with the counterspell. And that was more important to them than hitting a land drop. Alright, well, I'm going to give them the choice to counterspell this Root Wall if they like. If they do, then they're tapped out and I get to resolve Blood Mad on my turn. And if they don't, then I get some extra damage in. Spellstutter Sprite, okay. That will also do it. Alright, we found a Pyroblast, which is obviously a pretty good draw. Take this opportunity, resolve Blood Mad. And I'm again going to play around the days that they could potentially have, and I'm going to Pyroblast this while they're tapped out and after playing an untapped mountain. Now I have this Evolving Wilds, I can ditch to the Neonate. Blood Mad isn't great right now, but it does kind of prevent them from being able to keep one of their fairies. They almost certainly have to block it to prevent losing a damage race, so I have that much at least. They find their land drop, their third land drop in turn 4, and now they're pondering. And they do not shuffle. And they're not attacking either. So this most likely means they have some sort of counterspell. I could go ahead and discard this Neonate for damage, or to try to dig deeper in my deck, but I think I'd rather keep it around for damage. And a Pyroblast, perfect. So I'm going to keep the Blood Mad back just to force them to always keep one of their creatures back. And I'm happy trading off this Neonate for a Fairy Miscreant, I think. Or potentially even a Spellstutter. Preventing them from picking this up again and using it again is good, and preventing them from being able to draw with Fairy Miscreant is also good. Alright, they're just going to take the damage. Another island, okay. Probably found that off of the Ponder. Spiral Golem is going to be very annoying to try to get by. Alright, there's a Miscreant coming in. And here I am going to try to kill the Spellstutter Sprite. If they tap out, then at least we get to do something on our turn, and if this works, then they're kind of priced into blocking Blood Mad with Spire and my other 2 creatures still getting in. As it is right now, I don't want them to be able to block Wild Mongrel with Spiral Golem. Alright, there's a Spellstutter Sprite coming in, and even if we were able to find a removal spell off this Neonate, removing 1 fairy would not be nearly enough. We'd have to find exactly another Pyroblast, which is not going to happen. Given that I think we only have 2 at the sideboard, or maybe 3. I forget how many we brought in. So I'm going to keep the Neonate around, I believe, and not crack it yet. Alright. Well, these Spellstutter Sprites are certainly getting us. Still going to keep it back, though. And I'm going to keep the Neonate back as well now. I'll happily discard both these cards to the Mongrel if they want to feed me a Spire Golem for free, which it appears they do not want to do. And we get to pass. If they have absolutely nothing, we might be able to find a way to win this damage race, but it seems unlikely at this point. No attacks at all. Well, that's interesting. Let's bash with everything. I can discard 2 cards to this. I can pump this. We've apparently put the fear into them. If they had a bounce spell, surely they'd have attacked with at least one thing. So let's see what they're going to do here. Okay, we need to put that one first. Such as this. And it looks like they're going to be bouncing 2 different things here, because I can't imagine them giving us these 2 creatures for free, and I also can't imagine them letting the Blood Mat hit them. So let's see what they're going to do here. Alright, so yeah, there's the snap on the Mongrel. That was anticipated. And now I can't pump the Root Walla without not being able to recast Mongrel. And they also have a Hydroblast, so they didn't bounce both, but they bounced one and removed the other. Yeah, this is not turning out great for us. And Mongrel also gets countered to add insult to injury. Yeah, that went absolutely awful. No way we could have played around all those different things. I'm having Counterspell and Pyroblast and a Snap, so kind of always destined to happen. If they're just stuck on islands, though, and we draw well, we might be able to find a way out of it. Alright, there's a Lightning Axe. I will gladly trade this off with the Fairy Miscreant, because they're drawing deep enough in their deck that they might be able to find another one. Okay. And then on their upkeep, I will try to Lightning Axe that Spire Golem away to slow down their clock. And if this resolves, we can buy ourselves some time. Well, they snap the Spire Golem back so they can cast it again. So much for that. Spire Golem is recast. They bash us for 1 down to 11. And let's see how good our top decks are. I would love a Hooting Mandrills right about now. Or an Evolving Wild, so that's great too. Not really. Don't have any, yeah, I boarded out all my Faithless Looting, so nothing in the yard to worry about. On a 4-turn clock here from the Flyers. And they have yet another counterspell. Wonderful. fall to 4, draw a lightning bolt. Vapor Snag. Try to bolt this before they draw it. And they also have a Spell Stutter Sprite. Okay, well, we drew a little bit poorly compared to our opponent, that's for sure. And we were not able to take down the Mono Blue Delver matchup this time. Oh well, on to the next match.